Hey, have you ever shot a video and were getting ready to edit it and then your whole computer just crapped out, meaning you had to do the whole thing over again and get the video up late? Oh, no, you haven't? Well, that's what happened to me today. That's why this video is coming out a little later. Had the full computer crap out, purchased 4 months ago. You know what? At least it's under the theoretical warranty. But you know, they always weasel their way out of it. It's like, no. But if your computer doesn't work, that's not covered under the warranty. You know how many times I always used to think that the warranty was designed to just... I remember my first computer ever in college, it had a 2-year warranty. You want to know when it just stopped working completely? 2 years and 2 days. 2 days after that warranty. Andy, what are you talking about? Not talking about hockey. I'm venting my warranty frustrations because now I got to go through that whole process. The same way I got to go through this whole process on a Tuesday about a full slate of Tuesday games. And think about it. There aren't many left. You have this Tuesday, next Tuesday, in terms of Tuesday big slates, and then the following Tuesday after that, we're in the playoffs. We're going to have 4 games max, where the NHL magically learns, wait a minute, if we want people to watch as many games as possible, we have to stagger the start times, 1 at 7, 1 at 8:30, 1 at 9, 1 at 10:30, and then they can watch multiple games. Now, you know what, though? That seems like it's a very difficult concept to apply all season long. While it's still the regular season, let's just put 9 at 7 o'clock, 1 at 8, and then 1 at 10:30. That's how you really grow the game, by allowing people to watch as few games as possible. So there are many games here on this Tuesday, and I kid you not, you are not going to believe. You are not going to believe who the majority of my picks are going to be catered toward today. Here's a hint. They share the same skin pigment and texture as this Power Glove right here. You see that? Yep, they have scales just like that. This one's for the Gargoyles. They waited a long time, but they're about to get 3 underdog money lines to put in their donkey 4 legs, and then they'll give me a 20% boost despite the fact that they worked out those numbers in a boardroom where they know for a fact that the 4th leg is the worst possible thing and will ensure that you never have your car. I'm going to have 4 money lines for you. 3 are underdogs, and I'm not doing it just because I feel like being kind to the Gargoyles, but for the first time, I want to say all season, I was going through these games, and sometimes if the money lines stand out, I do try to call them to your attention. But there are a couple underdogs on this slate that I like to win. And now here's the funny thing. All you want is money lines. It's not enough to give money lines. You also want high-paying money lines. And now I'm going to tell you those teams, I don't want to bet on them. Damned if you do, gargoyled if you don't. So I'm going to talk about some of these games, the first of which is a rematch from a couple of days ago, and I talked about that game. It was before the Florida Panthers played the Toronto Maple Leafs. I said they're going to play 2 times over the course of a couple of days. Before that game, I wasn't really aware that Barkov wasn't going to be playing, and then the next game, they held out Bennett, they held out Reinhart, so they kind of were focused on getting that team a little bit healthier. And now, coming home, I think we have confirmation that Reinhart's going to be playing, Bennett's going to be playing, I think Barkov's going to be playing. And I don't want to go a little tinfoil hat on you like with that warranty. There are 2 possible roads for this final week and a half, 2 weeks of the season. And that is, next week means absolutely nothing. And there's no point to watch. We can just wait for the playoffs because we pretty much know every single team that's going to be in. Then the second road is, a result happens here, a result happens there. All of a sudden, if the Florida Panthers win this game, the Tampa Bay Lightning are right there within the tops in the division, and it adds a whole layer of drama to the final week of the season. Which of the 2 do you think is more likely? I think it's the route that's not decided, which means the Florida Panthers are going to have to win this game. And especially with those players returning, I think getting them at a plus 105, as long as it's still that or something around that, maybe after they announce that those players are playing, it's more close to even. But when I saw plus 105 for the Florida Panthers at home against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are playing great, they're due for a nice loss to at least bring them a little bit back down to those other teams who have been nipping at their heels. I'm going to go with the Florida Panthers. against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think the Leafs are catching a loss at Florida and at Tampa, and then it's just going to be a nice Royal Rumble to end the season to see who finishes 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going with the Panthers there. Then next up, I had mentioned about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, to our good old friend, one of the lone side characters in this show, Stevie Bong Rips out there in Detroit. I said, I'm sorry, Stevie. Your team once again is not going to make the playoffs. The good news is every year of Pavel Datsyuk's career, you guys made the playoffs. You won 2 Stanley Cups. The bad news is, ever since he retired, you have not made the playoffs every single year of Pavel Datsyuk's post-Red Wings career. And I don't think that's going to be changing. But the worst part about it is I told you, they're going to show you the penthouse on the way to your dungeon. They're going to give you that brief glimmer of hope, and you got to win the other night against the Panthers. And now there's the team that you're trying to catch. And if you win this game, I think it will put you 4 points behind with a game in hand, which all of a sudden makes the last week doable. So once again, I'm going to ask you, do you think next week is fully meaningless, or the games will be meaningful? And in order for that to happen, the Detroit Red Wings have to win this game, which I think they're going to find a way to do. I'm going with the Detroit Red Wings over the red-hot Montreal Canadiens. I know, I understand, you don't like it. And if you think you didn't like that one, how about this one? I'm taking a team who has just been shut out in back-to-back games. 2 games in a row, shut out. Couldn't be looking worse, and that is the Columbus Blue Jackets at home against the Ottawa Senators. I think in this particular game, we know the Blue Jackets always play better at home. They always score way more at home. I think this is going to be like a guy getting out of jail, going on his first date. There's going to be a lot of pent-up aggression let out on that first home date, which is going to be against the Ottawa Senators, who are kind of just cemented into that wild card 1 spot. Theoretically, I guess they can catch Florida, but not really. They're not going to drop to wild card 2. You pretty much know what you're getting with the Senators, so I do not see any extra motivation. But on the flip side, you have a Columbus team, an embarrassing road trip, an embarrassing ending to their very promising year, but I think they're going to give their home fans a decent showing in this one, as they did on their own home ice before. They went on the road for a couple of games when they had some high-scoring wins. So I'm going to go with the Columbus Blue Jackets to upset the Ottawa Senators. 3 right there. I wish I had a 4th underdog money line for you to blow your parlay on. But the 4th one that I'm going to go with is just kind of a chalky, standard 9-to-5 concept. I'm going to take the Utah Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes. They're playing against the Kraken, who, they had a squeaking 2-1 win. Hey, they stayed under 2.5 goals, and Jared McCann didn't get a point. But now they're playing again, back-to-back nights, have nothing to play for, and you have a Utah Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes team, finishing out the season, last couple games on their own home ice. They're not going to be making the playoffs, but I think they'll put forth a good effort at home in this game against the Seattle Cockroach Kraken. So I'll go with Utah in that one. So 4 money lines for your donkey line, 20% boost parlay, which is never going to win. So that's what I got for you, gargoyles. Go off into the night, fly, turn to stone, and enjoy that, because I do have some classic trickle-down snakeonomics plays. And I'm going to start in Boston, where 2 games ago, you saw something that was maybe meaningless at the time. It really means nothing. Boston's at the bottom of the East in the standings. But they did just a random flip of Pavel Zacha and Elias Lindholm, which was nice to see because it meant the whole first line was correlated all on power play 1, which is good for our line combos and whatnot. What we didn't expect to see was a full eruption of that line in these last 2 games. They've completely blown up. All 3 of those guys, multi-point performances, Geeky, Pasternak, and Elias Lindholm. And against the Devils, where the Devils, you know where they are. They're cemented in their playoff spot. They're not going up. They're not going down. I know Markstrom is coming off a shutout, but that was like a big game. That was a big game against a team where they wanted to play well against. I don't know. Are the Devils really going to be up for this game? For what reason? What reason are the Devils really giving their all against the bottom team in the East? All I'm looking for is a few goals from Boston, and I want the guy on that line with the best point prop price, and that is Elias Lindholm coming in at a plus 120. I think that's a pretty damn good deal for a line that has been blowing up these last 2 games. So I'm going to go with Lindholm there, and I obviously wouldn't mind the entire line for a point at over plus 300. It's hit the last 2 games. I'm hoping we see it for a 3rd time in a row. And then I know we're almost toward the end of the season, but there's no reason, once again, it's 8 Mile. I'm B-Rabbit. I'm just rapping and rhyming. By the end of the season, there's no reason I shouldn't have to remind you guys something that I told you last year, something that I told you earlier this year. It should always be on your radar, and that's getting fantastic values for Power Play 1 defensemen. Everybody from Brandon Montour last year with the Florida Panthers all the way up to like a week and a half ago with Lev Shanoff, the plus 200 point. When someone's on that top power play, as long as that power play isn't like the New York Islanders, there's a lot of value there. And in Pittsburgh, a game between 2 teams here, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and I know what you're going to say, they just played the other day. That was a Sunday afternoon snoot. Lazy Sundays. Tough to get it up on a Sunday afternoon for 2 teams who are out of it. But I have way higher expectations for this game. This could be some sneaky, hidden, under-the-covers ruckus. I don't know if that's the proper term that I want to use for that, but there could be some goals in this game between 2 teams who are completely out of it. And I think Pittsburgh will be able to score a few times against a bottom 2 team in the NHL in the Chicago Blackhawks. And I'm looking at their Power Play 1 defenseman, M.Grzelcyk, showing a plus 120, plus 125 for a point. And also, doesn't hurt to throw in... This won't qualify for a pirate parlay, but I'm going to go with Sidney Crosby for over 1.5 points and M.Grzelcyk for an assist. That's pulling like a plus 450. Outside of there, there's another defenseman showing a solid point prop price. And sometimes he's not even listed. Sometimes, even though he's the Power Play 1 defenseman, they always list the Power Play 2 defenseman. It's very annoying in those situations. If someone's on the top power play, list him for us, please, so I can drop pirate parlays like this. The same thing that I just did with Crosby. Give me Philip Forsberg for 2 points and their power play defenseman for an assist, Nick Blankenberg. That's like a plus 700 in a game at home against the New York Islanders. Yes, I know how bad Nashville is. I know this probably feels like a low-scoring game, but I'm telling you, end of the year, 2 teams like this, I guess the Islanders theoretically have dreams of running the table and weaseling their way in. But this one is in Nashville, and I just, 1 or 2 times on their own home ice, I bet you Nashville pops in a decent amount of goals for their home fans. The same way Boston did that against Carolina the other night when they beat them like 5-0 at home. Those games are still in there for those teams who are out of it. I'm not talking about St. Louis, Winnipeg, which was a prime example of what clenched ass cheeks and playoff-style betting and unders are all about. You don't want to be the one who makes a mistake. It's 1-1 late in the game. Okay, it's 2-1. We're going to play defense, maybe an empty netter, unders across the board. So I know, other than Robert Thomas, but the thought process was right. I couldn't assure you that. The under 2.5 goals was good. Unlucky that Thomas was on the 1 goal. Anyway, the Blankenberg assist with the Philip Forsberg 2 points. That is what I have for you here on a Tuesday, one of the last busy Tuesdays of the season. Good luck to you. Better luck to me. Make sure you're subscribed here to the YouTube channel. Click the notifications so you know. Oh my God, this guy's not coming. Oh, wait, 2 o'clock? He snuck one out there? Yeah, the warrantee. So make sure you do that. Also, as always, you can be a minority owner of this show. You can help produce everything here. You can have a major role. I'll list you as a random producer. Yeah, the uncredited producer. Add yourself to the IMDb by joining the Patreon. It's patreon.com/Andy Francess. That's where you can get the line combos for every single game. That's where Josh posts his baseball picks early in the morning. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. Chats with all the sniffers. I hope to see you there. If not, I'll see you tomorrow for another round of hopefully on time NHL Sniffs. Take it easy.
What was that ruckus?